Alright, it is 9:29, just 1 minute till the market open. Just to do a small recap of what I'm looking at. LTNC is going to be a number 5 setup if it happens. Same with KYNC, INVU. These are like the ones that are most important to me, as in what I think could make the best number 5 setup. ENZC is not a number 5 setup, it's only been up a little. This will be more like a confirmed breakout over 24 maybe, but it's just going to be a watch for now. Now, a thing that I really want to trade with the Nasdaqs, I will be looking at the other screen to see if there are any other OTCs down a lot on the day, but these are my priorities right now. So at the moment, it's just going to be number 5 setups. Alright, it is 9:43 a.m. LTNC is doing a number 5 setup. I just missed it, was not there for it. When it was around here, I considered it a little, but I have seen LTNC do these little fake outs, StarSedz, whatever you want to call them, and then it continues to drop more. I had, in theory, a chance to buy right here in the 73s, but I didn't do it because I just missed it. Really, I have been really burned. Well, not burned, but I've had so many paper cuts trying to trade LTNC for a number 5, and I just happen to always miss it. So whenever I do actually get in the setup, it just continues to head further down, and because of the fact that I have been having a lot of paper cuts with that, it just kind of numbed me from wanting to buy here. But I'm glad to see it working, if anything. I mean, 72 to 79, so you know, that's almost a 10% move. It seems like people just want to take profits before 10% sometimes with these types of setups. Maybe it's like a psychological percentage number that people are looking at. Sometimes if it doesn't, you know, get over 10%, it seems to get around 7 or 8 because people are taking profits early. I'm not sure, but here is also the fading volume, and it continues the uptrend. So that shows that selling action, that panic selling. That could actually show that less volume means that there's less people dumping, and it's going to be a better chance that it's going to continue an uptrend. So that's a great thing. KYNC, not really doing anything that I want. Maybe now that it might actually go red on the day, potentially. There's a big bidder here, but we'll see. Also, LTNC had like a humongous person on the ask right here, but people just bought through it, and the million share seller on ask was just taken out. So that's pretty impressive. That's why I can't really take level 2 all that seriously, because even if there is a bunch of sellers, if people really want to, there are going to be big green blocks of buying action, and it's just going to be taken out. It did drop here again, very close to the level as it was the other day, I believe, and this is an important level of support, 72. I did not base it off the chart so much. I tried to base it off to level 2. So when I saw that million share seller, I guess it kind of scared me out of it. On top of the fact that I've been having a lot of paper cuts trying to call these number 5 setups. So I think in the future, to prevent this and, you know, increase my odds, I'll start to focus more on the chart, the 14 and 20 day, whatever you want to call it, and just base it off of that much more than level 2, or at least just look at this even more to consider it better. After all, it is technical analysis, and it does work more often than not. So that's a good thing. That's going to be a great lesson. It looks like it's trying to bounce from this level right here where I had that previous stutter step. We'll see how it goes. KYNC is not down on the day. It's up a little, but it could go down on the day. INVU continue the uptrend, which is nice. This one will make a nice number 5 setup. I think I've traded it before doing a number 5 setup. ENZC just became a spaghetti monster. Nothing I want to trade. I'll keep looking. Maybe KYNC will continue a downtrend. Maybe LTNC will drop more and break this low. Then I might have an opportunity, but I'll be cautious because when it does stuff like that, it's kind of sketchy to me. So I'll just keep looking, but this is where I'm at the moment. Alright, it's 10:01 a.m. That was very just sketchy what just happened, but it worked out, I guess. KYNC number 5 setup, just because it's the first red day, just started having a panic. Wanted to buy into the panic, played it very cautiously. I looked at what I did now, considering the last thing with LTNC that I didn't trade, to look at a previous chart. Support was clearly at 48, although 50 could have been a level of support too, because this stock, you know, is just trading around that 50 level. It's a round number, perfect round number, just like a dollar. So I went ahead and I took a buy. I gotta admit the execution was okay on both sides, but my entry wasn't that nice because I had a order at 52 for 100,000 shares, and I was only able to get half my order executed. And here's the thing, so I had my limit, well, thinking now I guess it makes sense, but I had my order at 52. 52 was on the ask, right? It blew past 52, all the people that were selling at 52 and went to 53. So when something like that happens, I just don't understand how my order didn't get executed, because the rest of my shares, because it broke past that 52 level where there were a bunch of people selling on the ask. And then so once I got in my position, and then it looked like it really wasn't going to you know, continue to you know, have that possibility that I get the rest of my shares filled, went ahead and canceled the order, 45,000 shares in at 52. And then we had this sketchy wick here, right? It had a sketchy spike to 59. The spread was kind of ugly previously, but it got a lot better once we started to head down here. Super sketchy. And because of how sketchy the wick was, and because I knew that's not really very orderly, I went ahead and just placed a quick sell order using the speed key to just get out immediately. Don't want to play around with the order entry, clicking around, changing the position size, and then whoops, I need to put another 0, I need to sell. And then, you know, that could just not give you the opportunity. When it's just something like this where it has a crazy wick right here, I don't know if it was some guy trading like some crappy broker, or just, I don't know, maybe it was a market order too, but just with a really bad broker, I guess. I don't know. When I saw that crazy wick here at 59, I said, alright, I have to sell immediately, because this is like, you know, it might get to this level eventually through an uptrend. If it does it, if the promoters want to keep this stock higher afloat. But if that's not going to be the case, well, you know, I'm going to have that opportunity to sell on this crazy wick in number 2. Even if it does get there, it gives me that opportunity to get out of the position earlier. So let's look at the time. I literally held it for like 30 seconds. It wasn't that much. And I sold the rest at 55. This wasn't really perfect again because they had that sketchy wick. The problem with this stock, I think, is it's just that the volume isn't that nice. But I did take a nice buy at 42. And no, well, excuse me, 10 o'clock exactly. Right at 52. So that was pretty good if you ask me. And again, I sold at 55 the next candle because of how sketchy it was. Right, sold at 01, right? So right here was that sketchy candle, and I bought at 10. So I bought right here at 10, and then I sold here at the next candle. I won't trade this anymore, even though this thing might do like a max panic, breaks the day low. Even though it's, I mean, in theory, it might be very far from the VWAP level if it keeps dropping below that level, but I probably won't consider it. Well, that's a very nice big bidder here. That's pretty impressive, but there have been a lot of selling too. The volume isn't that nice. It's very volatile, I'll give it that. I'm gonna guess it was a small profit because I didn't trade a full position, and my full position would have been like 500 bucks, but that's nice, a $13 dollar gain. Didn't go exactly the way I wanted, but could have been much worse. I'm gonna do a screenshot. LTNC, nothing I want to trade. I saw it here when it was slightly below VWAP. I didn't consider buying it just because it got under VWAP. I thought maybe it would continue a downtrend. It did a double bottom before, and that was pretty impressive. ENZC, nothing I want to trade. It looks like it's trying to hold itself together. Great for that stock. IMVU was downtrending here, but it caught itself, was kind of greedy, I guess, wanting it to see it do a further downtrend, maybe break this level for a nice panic. That didn't really happen. It's continuing a nice uptrend, although it might struggle if it puts up a lower high. So that's the state that I'm in right now. I won't trade this stock, but I would like to see what it does eventually. It could totally continue an uptrend, right? But right now it's down 10%. Immediately got out when I saw that crazy wick. Glad I have that, hotkey there, the sell. Sure, it wasn't perfect because it was a market order, but I have been burned, definitely burned with Schwab trying to sell with a limit order, and it just doesn't get executed no matter what. Okay, it is 10:19 a.m. LTNC, I actually saw this, but not in time to really buy it. But here's the idea that I have here with LTNC. The only issue is that it was down on the day, but I guess now I might try to go green on the day. It all depends. But here's the idea. We have this nice uptrending stock over a 30-day chart showing some topping action, sure, but it looks like people are trying to keep this stock as high as it can anyway. Has this nice drop, breaks VWAP, right? Gets as low as here. Let's see how low it is. It's at 72. Goes back up, breaks this VWAP level, goes down slightly below VWAP, catches itself, goes back here, makes a double top. So it's not a higher high, but it could be worse. Could be a lower high. And then it drops here. So when it drops back down here, and now it's holding VWAP. So we went from a drop here excessively below VWAP here, just below VWAP, and now we get to here to the point that it's holding VWAP. I considered a buy in this candle right here, but not this one. I think it was this one. I'm not sure. It was probably this one before I had the wick here. Probably would have sold immediately into that crazy wick, just like that KYNC trade I just had. But it looks like it's continuing an uptrend. Maybe it'll break this level here and go green on the day. That would be impressive. It could totally do that. It could also reject, but the idea was to have considered getting in right here just because it's holding VWAP. I wasn't expecting this spike. I wasn't expecting this quick price action. I'd probably sell again immediately because it just got to where I wanted way too fast, and maybe it'll continue to spike, but sometimes that's just a bit excessive and you're right for just a little bit and then it heads back down. So I would have considered selling right here already had I have not have sold, had I have bought this. Again, this thing just had a quick spike right here. You can see the wick to 79, and then it kind of came back to this level right here. Probably some guy got executed horribly with a market order trying to buy this stock at any price, and that was the case, I think. And then it got to here, so again, it would have sold already. We had another crazy wick. I think it is people with market orders with a bad broker or something, who knows. And so yeah, that was the idea here, but not this. My idea would have been to just buy this VWAP, hold right here, and then see it do a slow uptrend, small higher highs. Well, not really higher highs, but higher lows. It just gradually builds up and then gets to the highs here gradually, and then depending on the price action, all the variables, maybe consider it, or maybe sell half if it gets to this level. Just it all depends. Maybe hold for a breakout. It all depends, but that was my idea there, just to buy because it was doing a VWAP hold. It's showing some kind of strength because its losses, its downtrends are starting to be more controlled, more, just more orderly, less inconsistent and crazy, just better. Showing that there is more support building on this stock. This was a bit excessive, but if it would have done man, alright. If it would have done a very slow high or low setup, I just think that would have been very nice. I'm trying very hard to not say every 5 seconds. I've seen that a lot in my videos, and I think I'm doing pretty well, but I guess it's just using a lot more mental capacity than normal. So that was the idea here. It worked out just a little too quickly. Again, I would have sold here, but it's nice to see that this one actually worked out in a way. KYNC, not gonna touch it. It's scary, spooky, volatile. The NZC is not doing anything I want. IMVU is kind of doing that same thing with LTNC. I might even consider a buy for that reason. I'll be back with a further update, but that's my mindset at the moment. Okay, it's 10:23, maybe 20 seconds later. as soon as I cut the recording and I saw IMVU potentially doing the same thing that LTNC was doing, I tried to buy. I just didn't get my order thing ready in time to buy. Would have been a very small $300 position just because it's speculative. I'm not too experienced with these things, but it's doing the same thing with LTNC. A big excessive drop, less excessive, a little better. You can call this an ascending or a symmetrical triangle. It had this spike from 72 to 74. I'm not going to chase this. We have resistance right here at 75 that it could or could not, you know, be able to break out eventually. So again, worked out here with IMVU. This is a new setup. I guess I'll call it the VWAP triangle. I have no idea. It's just so crazy that before the challenge I would have never looked at VWAP, but now I guess the VWAP, maybe it's a little degenerate because it gives you a reason to get in a stock, but it seems to work with a VWAP. Sometimes the VWAP seems a bit pointless, but I guess it all makes sense. I mean, right here you could say it's pointless, but it does give you the overall idea that the sellers are in control. So very nice to see this with IMVU. Same setup with LTNC again. Look at the excessive dips just starting to be a lot weaker, showing more support, some kind of an uptrend. Now it's kind of holding a level higher here than where it was previously at 78 flat. Now it's at like 78.5. Maybe, I mean, it could fail obviously, but it could try to hold this level right here and then go green on the day. That might be impressive. It could still be a buy in that sense. IMVU probably not, because it's already green on the day, already up a bunch. It's already testing this level of resistance right here. So we'll see what this one does. I don't know what to call it. I think I'll call it the VWAP triangle. I'm going to take screenshots of these two stocks and I'm just going to save them to see if it's something that I can maybe trade more consistently if it continues to happen. Speaking about VWAP, ENZC broke it. It's having a downtrend, but I won't be interested in dip buying this because it didn't really have a uptrend. And the previous day it wasn't up that much for me to consider it. Yes, it was nice, but not that nice. And speaking about number 5 setups, FTXP didn't really consider it too much because I would have liked more consistently green candles in terms of size. This one had a drop. Here was the fake outs, and it went from, like, I'll just call it 100 to 114 before it started to go the other way. And then the other one, which kind of surprised me, I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it here. I probably won't. I think yeah, AAGC. This one surprisingly did this. So I've tried it before, but I know it's a very sketchy thing to consider a dip buy off of a stock that has only been up one other day, but that one other day that it was up was very strong, very nice. So it had this drop right here, right? And it actually did kind of bounce back a little from 94 to 104. And now it looks like it's going to try to be more consistent, putting up again lower highs. Not lower highs, higher lows. And now it's at 120. Might try to go green on the day. ENZC continuing the downtrend. I'll just watch it. I don't really want to dip buy it. LTNC will be impressive if it goes green on the day. That might be a setup if it breaks this 80 level, or maybe a confirmed breakout to play it safe. That's my mindset at the moment. No actual plays I want to trade right now. I did miss IMVU, but I'm glad to see it worked out. Okay, 10:59, just going to be a quick update. Haven't been looking at the markets too much. This just hasn't been looking nice. PHU, not really interested in trading. Somebody just mentioned it in the chat. Just wanted to take a look at it. Doesn't look very nice if you ask me. LTNC, again, that VWAP triangle is what I think I'm going to call it. Now it's putting up like a higher low. So, no, not higher low, a lower low, which is bad. So it's not going to be a trade here. The only reason why I'll trade LTNC today is if it has a big 20, 30, 40% drop randomly midday, which it can do. KYNC, nothing I want to trade either. It's nice to see it get as high as 58. And looking back at my trade, I did sell some at the very top of that wick here at 59, I believe. And I did sell others, but I think I think the average was 55. I think that's what it played out as, because I didn't have my entire thing executed all together at once. As you can see, I had 5,000 shares, and this was at like a 10% profit or whatever, and then the rest was like 6, 7, 8, I think. So I did manage to sell some at the very top, but only 5,000 shares. It wasn't a lot. Again, it was just a crazy wick. I've seen that before, where it just like really goes crazy, just too crazy, that you just have to sell into it. Otherwise, it would have taken all of this time for it to get to 58. Although I probably would have been able to sell for more. But again, that wasn't really my idea, to just wait for a slow number 5. I wanted something quick. It didn't happen here. Something like LTNC, something much quicker. Again, could have bought the bottom here, but I was just too... I just had too many paper cuts really trading it, so I kind of got numb to it. And again, we had that million share seller. But once I applied that same strategy with KYNC, looking at a 14 or a 20-day chart more, I saw that 50 level and that 48 level, so that led me to playing it off of the chart a little more, not just completely the level 2, yes, the level 2 as well, but the chart more. I think in the future that would have helped me get in. That will definitely help me, I think, in the future, get into a trade like LTNC that has a drop that actually went red on the day, which is better than yesterday. Although it had a drop, it was still green on the day, so it wasn't really ideal. IMVU is putting up like a double bottom if you want to base it off of where it was with the VWAP right here. Not a buy anymore. It did have a slight perk here. I would almost consider it right here a lower high if it doesn't break the 75 level. So that's actually a bearish sign. I don't like the price action. ENZC, people are talking about this in the chat room. I don't know why anybody would trade this. It was up yesterday, sure, but I mean, it wasn't that crazy if you ask me to consider wanting to dip by this, even though it's right at the lows of this 22 level right here. It just seems a bit sketchy. You would have wanted it to have bounced already, and that's exactly what it did here. So people are still talking about this. I don't know why. I guess they see something I don't. That's the state that I'm in right now. A recent runner, MDMP, is up 70%, and it was a nice breakout over this, I would say right here, this top at 28, but now we have resistance at 36, we have resistance at 32, which is slightly above, and we also have some at 30, so it's just going to be a matter of seeing how this thing trades. Probably not going to be interested in it unless it spikes more to like 35, 36, and then it drops to 30 for a confirmed break out. But if it just drops here, I wouldn't really consider it. Doesn't look like it could make a bull flag or something like that. So that's the state that I'm in right now. It's 11:03. Even though we're approaching midday, a lot of stocks do a midday spike, so I'll be ready for that, I believe. Otherwise, I'm just going to take things much easier from here on out. Okay, it's 1:41 p.m. I'm just going to call it off for the day and go ahead and publish the video so I can rewatch this later. Anyways, ENZC, I guess it was fine for those people who were talking about it when it was here, because it was hitting that level of support at 22. So when it went ahead and held that level, I guess I would have been fine, but it just seems a bit degenerate because it was already red on the second day. Didn't look like it was picking up. This was a pretty bearish sign for anybody who wanted to hold it for more than a single day. Just because of that, I just wouldn't have traded it. IMVU, again, this one did that VWAP triangle setup that I think I'll look at some point further. I already have screenshots of it. I'll consider in the future trading something like this again. So I think the idea is that it still dips below the VWAP, or maybe just gets right at it for an uptrend, a nice spike. I think this could be a potential setup. It's up 21% on the day. It's still holding itself very nicely, so this thing could make a very nice number 5 when that happens, if that happens. Doesn't have to, of course, but it's more likely. I mean, it's up from what, 12 cents to 72. It's very impressive. I wouldn't have considered this dip by here. It just didn't seem very nice. I didn't like the price action. KYNC, this is the one I traded. I have seen that a lot of the setups that I get in are actually working out, but it takes much longer than what I would have wanted it to. So I need to keep working on that. I don't really regret this because it did have that wick here. This was a bit excessive. It wasn't until the 11s, right, that it actually got back to this level. So I don't regret my sell there at all. I like using that Control F1 button to get out of a position. It's not twice. If I do it twice, I'll get my account restricted for sure. I'm not trying to get short LTNC like I did previously. So definitely going to be something I'm going to consider. Maybe the idea that the setup plays out longer over time. LTNC, I have not seen this at all. This is a pretty massive drop because it cracked this 74 level. Tried to hold itself based off of this support level at 72. Had a nice drop to 67. I would have maybe considered this. Perhaps not because it's a bit late in the day, but that's pretty cool. 67 to 71. You know, short stocking DVD, if it cracks 67, that would be a short. Although I guess the ideal level would have been right here at 74, but this would have been like the second opportunity. More risk, but another potential opportunity to get in. I can't short OTCs, but I would be interested in the dip buy pattern. Hopefully it doesn't panic anymore, and it does a nice formal panic at the morning to consider. I'll have to be ready for the starter steps. I'll have to be ready to take paper cuts if it doesn't work. I can't be numb. I think I did pretty well today. My only regret is not trading LTNC for the dip here because it did dip towards the support level. Again, I mentioned this in the previous video. I need to take support levels more seriously, consider it much more. It did that same level as it did the previous day. Very nice drop, and it did it very nicely. Why does this chart look messed up? Oh, it's a 5 minute, no wonder. Yeah, this would have worked out. There was a big million share seller, but it was taken out. I need to look at the support levels on the chart. Just an idea. I can't, you know, go by it completely. Obviously, it can break the support level and keep downtrending. I'm sure, you know, the stutter step it had here at 75 was some kind of level of support. There we go. Now I see the issue. So let's go look. Is it going back? Is it 75? It was a level of support if you counted this. Well, that was today, so not really. Yeah, it was a level of support, 75. So it broke 75. It got lower. Kind of confusing now, but no, 72. Right, and then 75 was that other level of support that failed today. So that kind of explains it. You can go off support resistance, but not completely, but definitely more than I have previously. Did that nice spike from 72 to 79, so just right under, I think right under 10%, if not just about 10% was the max. And yeah, we'll see how this thing continues. The only other regret I had is probably MDMP. Probably should have taken that one more seriously. I could have bought here, being an uptrending head and shoulder setup. Shoulder, head, shoulder, and then once it put this level here, it managed to hold. So that would have been, again, an uptrending head and shoulders, and then this uptrending head and shoulders, second higher low setup too. At 32 to 39, although this would have been a bit crazy because it's very far from the VWAP, but that's very impressive. Those are my two regrets that I need to work on. LTNC, consider the support resistance levels and not be too numb, even if I've been having a bunch of paper cuts on those types of trades. And the other one, of course, not taking MDMP as aggressively as I likely should have. This was very nice, putting up higher lows. If you don't want to talk about head and shoulders, nice higher lows to play off of. Not really a confirmed breakout because, you know, it did it and then it dropped, but it didn't drop at the same level. here. It didn't drop at the same level here. Neither did it here. So no confirmed breakout setups, but definitely higher lows. That's it. I'm going to call it off. I'm going to work on the thing with LTNC. Just going to base it off support resistance levels a bit more than I have previously. On top of that, just not be so jaded or worn out from paper cuts, because it feels worse when you miss a setup. And to have taken MDMP more seriously. It was a nice, at the time 50-60% gainer, first green day in theory, based off of a chart. Let's go back 50 days. Yeah, pretty impressive. Going to call it off. Overall, a good trading day. Just have those things to look at. Look forward to reviewing this, and yeah, that's all I got.